Welcome to week 5 of NFL predictions. Now, last week we had a record of 7-9, a losing record, but this week I ain't even going to say it's going to be different. I'm just going to hope for the best. So let's get to it, starting tonight with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, both teams are coming off wins. The Falcons beat the Saints at home, and Tampa Bay took care of the Philadelphia Eagles handily. I think in a divisional matchup like this, it could really go either way, but I just have a hunch the Falcons are going to win. Like, sure, the Buccaneers win was more impressive on paper, but I'm starting to believe that the Eagles are absolutely imploding versus, the Saints are a solid team. Now, the Falcons, sure, they're 2-2, but in their wins, it's just clutch final drives by Kirk Cousins, one to get a touchdown against Philly, one to get a game-winning kick. So I just feel like the Falcons have that clutch factor. They got the home field advantage. I got them by a point. Next, we got the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings playing in the UK. So technically the Vikings are the home team, but it's essentially an exhibition game. Going to be fans of pretty much every team there. Now, as far as what the teams did last week, the Jets lost to the Broncos. It was a rainy day, but to never score a touchdown is absolutely embarrassing. Then the Minnesota Vikings, we were absolutely torching Green Bay. I was going crazy in my living room, and then they almost marched back, but hey, we still got that W. So now up in the UK, the Minnesota Vikings are 3-0 in the UK. Most recently, we beat the New Orleans Saints 28-25. I remember that, a clutch final drive from Kirk Cousins. So I think Kevin O'Connell will have us prepared, and we're just the better team overall. Like, we could play this in New York, we could play this in Minnesota, we could play this in London, Germany, Brazil. I don't care. The Minnesota Vikings are the better team. We got more talent, we got better coaching, and we're going to get the job done, man. I got Minnesota by 10. Next, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. Now, this is a tough one to predict. I mean, Carolina, their offense is going up with Andy Dalton, but that defense is absolutely atrocious. And then the Chicago Bears actually have a pretty solid defense, but I still do not trust that offense with Caleb Williams. Their O-line is questionable, so many penalties. Now, last week the Panthers fell short against the Bengals team, but did all right offensively. Then the Bears beat up a heavily injured Rams team. So I think in this game, the Panthers are going to win. I don't trust the Bears. I don't think they're that good of a team. And I think Andy Dalton might expose that defense, and the Panthers are going to sneak a win. It could go either way. Both these teams are very questionable, but, I'll take the Panthers by 3. Next, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Washington Commanders. Now, I picked the Browns last week, and they let me down against the Raiders. And after the game, Devontae Adams wants a trade from the Raiders. They are a very dysfunctional franchise, and they still beat the Cleveland Browns. Then the Commanders, on the other hand, absolutely torched the Cardinals. I think they put up 42 points, and then the previous week, they had no punts against Cincinnati. Jaden Daniels is absolutely going off, and I think he'll continue to do so against Cleveland. It's a home game for Washington. I'm not sure how many tickets they sell, but I assume it's going to be a lot more than in previous years the way their team is playing, and I think they're going to ball out and win by 14. Next, we got the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Now, the Dolphins lost to the Titans last night. Now, Will Levis got injured. Mason Rudolph came in and absolutely torched them. Offensively, Tyler Huntley didn't do much against the Titans. I mean, they lost by 20 points to what I thought would be the worst team in football, and now they're headed to New England, who has an all-right defense. They caused problems for the Bengals week 1. They went to Seattle in overtime. Now they've kind of gotten torched the past 2 weeks. But to say Tyler Huntley is going to do well against them, I don't believe so. With the home crowd, I just cannot pick the Dolphins to win a game out here. I think it will be a close one. I'm very, very unsure about the Patriots. I don't know if there's another team in the league I'd pick the Patriots to beat right now, but just with how bad the Dolphins are, I got to go with the Patriots by 3. Next, we got the Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars, they put up a bit of a fight last week. A lot of people were calling me crazy because I said, okay, they're going to beat the Houston Texans. Like, no, John, they don't stand a chance, but they did put up a fight, but just fell apart at the end of the game. So now you got the Indianapolis Colts coming to town. Jonathan Taylor running like crazy. Joe Flacco cooking at QB. And I'm not picking an 0-4 team. Y'all have lost 4 straight games. Why would you not lose a 5th? Like, I know y'all at home, but are you going to stop Jonathan Taylor? Are y'all capable of beating a team? I'm gonna wait until Jacksonville wins. I'm not picking their sorry team again. I mean, the Colts got a really good win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were able to put some drives together, and I think they're going to march into Jacksonville and beat them by 3. Next, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be a really good game. Now, Josh Allen and the Bills did struggle against the Ravens last night, but the Baltimore Ravens right now, if I had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl, that would be the team I will pick. I trust that Josh Allen and the Bills can bounce back. He's such a talented QB, but on the other hand, you got CJ Stroud and the Texans. They're a little penalty prone, a little shaky. Had a tough fought game against Jacksonville, and they did secure the dub, but I still don't trust that team. They're just too penalty prone. I think they're a little undisciplined, and when you're playing a good team like the Bills who are trying to bounce back after a bad loss, good luck, man. I think Buffalo's going to go in there, show that they're the real team, that they're the real contender, and they're going to beat Houston by 10. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Ravens 2-2, coming off one of the most impressive wins of the year. They just dominated the Bills. That running game was insane. Derrick Henry, 199 yards on the ground, more in the air. Justice Hill was cooking up on my fantasy team. Just everything going right for Baltimore. And then the Bengals, on the other hand, they finally secured a win against the Carolina Panthers, but I do not trust their defense. They got torched by Andy Dalton the 3 previous weeks, and the 2 weeks before that, their defense has struggled, and I think it will continue to struggle. I don't think they're going to have an answer for Baltimore and the run. And if they sell out to stop Derrick Henry, you got Lamar Jackson throwing the ball? Good luck, man. Good luck. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are actually headed for 1-4, which is crazy to think. They're probably, the most talented 1-4 team in a long time, but I don't think they're a match for Baltimore. Like, early Baltimore a little shaky, but they were playing competitive games, and now that they're rolling, they got W's, and they're going to continue to win. Next, we got an AFC West battle between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. So, the Raiders, beat the Browns. It's kind of the toilet bowl. Like, I'm sorry. And now you got Devontae Adams. He wants trades. Is he going to, play really well? I'm not sure. And then the Broncos, on the other hand, Vance Joseph and that defense is rolling. Sure, it was a rainy game, but you hold Rodgers out of the end zone. That is absolutely insane. Now, Bo Nix, he looked really good against Tampa Bay, not as good against New York. So this was a very hard game to pick, but I think Sean Payton's going to find a way to win. Is he the greatest coach ever? No, but I think he's a better head coach. I like that Denver defense. I just think organizationally, they're a little more put together than the Raiders right now. A lot of chaos going on with, Devontae Adams. And at one point, the coach was questioning players making business decisions on the field. So even though, the Raiders beat the Browns, I do not trust this team to win. I got to take the Broncos by 3. Next, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Cardinals got absolutely torched by Jaden Daniels. But, that kind of is what he does. But, man, y'all got to get some stops out there. Now, Kyler Murray scrambling all over the place. I don't know if their offense can be consistently good. And on the other hand, the San Francisco 49ers just dominated the New England Patriots, and they just have injuries here and there. But Brock Purdy, he gets that offense moving. That defense shows up to play. They're a really good team and still a Super Bowl contender. So I don't really see a way that the Arizona Cardinals, as poorly as they've played, that they're going to march into San Francisco and get a win. I do not see it happening, man. I got the Niners by 13. Next, we got the New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I picked the Giants to win last week against, the Dallas Cowboys. Why did I do that? I don't know. I thought they could win. They put up a bit of a fight, and they just fell short. Only field goals. I think they averaged 1.1 rushing yards. How do you average 1.1 rushing yards? You could put me, someone who is super unathletic, always pick last. You put me behind the San Fran O-line, okay, or the Baltimore O-line. I'm averaging 1.1 yards per carry, maybe even 1.2. So there is no excuse for that. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's lack of talent, but that is just awful stuff. Now, on the other hand, the Seattle defense was looking okay the first 3 weeks, but they got absolutely torched by the Lions. A perfect completion percentage for Jared Goff. But there were a lot of injuries from Seattle, and I think this is going to play out differently. I don't trust the Giants offense to torch him. I don't trust him to do anything. And we know Geno's going to show up and cook. He was absolutely cooking the Lions. Sure, the news story is going to be the Lions win, but we cannot forget Geno's performance. This guy took hits, and he just kept fighting and fighting and fighting, put up a lot of points that game. And that's what I think he's going to do against the New York Giants defense. They're a bad team. They can't run the ball, and they're not going to win this game in Seattle. I got the Seahawks by 10. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Packers got absolutely torched by us, but fought back in the second half. I was a little bit nervous. They're still a really good team, great coach, great offense. Now Jordan Love, he'll be even healthier than he was last week. Looked a little shaky in the first half, but he should be good to go. Then on the other hand, the LA Rams are super injury prone, and they give them a loss to the Bears. I just don't think they're healthy enough to win this game. Green Bay was on a roll in the second half against us, and I think they'll continue to roll against the Los Angeles Rams. I got them winning by 14 points. I think they're a much better team, a much healthier team, and they should get that dub. Now on to Sunday Night Football. We got the Dallas Cowboys playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very historic match between two good teams. Now the Dallas offense has been impressive this year, but I do not trust that Mike Zimmer defense. I question it. They got torched by Baltimore, sure, but they got absolutely torched by the Saints. So, I think they're a little bit shaky. Now the Steelers, on the other hand, I do like their defense. Yeah, they got torched by Joe Flacco, but That's what Joe Flacco does, man. You know, Joe Flacco comes into a regular season game. He's a veteran QB, man. That's what he does. I still like that Pittsburgh defense. Now, offensively, it is a little hard to trust Justin Fields, but, you know, I think he can get a lot done. I think he's elusive. You know, he's a mobile QB, and such a tough game to pick. It really is a tough game to pick. Like, do I really want to trust the Steelers? I think I do, just because, you know, they're the home team. The crowd's going to be into it. You know, it could really go either way, but I'll take the Steelers by 1. Finally, we get to Monday Night Football between the New Orleans Saints and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Saints lost a really close one against Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, you know, because Kirk's a pro QB and that's what he does. But now I don't really trust the Saints offense at this point. You know, they've lost their role that they had in week 1 and week 2, and now you're playing the champs. You're playing the Chiefs, who, sure, they've looked shaky the past 4 weeks, but all they do is win. They're 4-0. I said before their Falcons game, the Chiefs are on this thin ice and it's eventually going to break, but it hasn't. So I'm not going to pick it to break. The Chiefs are at home. Crowd's going to be going absolutely crazy, and they're the champs, man. You got Patrick Mahomes versus Derek Carr. You got Chris Jones. You got Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce. Come on now. I mean, Andy Reid, I don't think he's going to lose this game. I got the Chiefs by 10. Those are my week 5 picks. So comment down below your thoughts, like and sub, and lace up.